Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to my channel High Point. I hope that all of you are doing great in your life and also you are consistently moving towards UGC NET and JRF. So, guys, I hope all of you are subscribed to my channel and also visited my website known as www.highpoint.in, and where you will get every other topics that you are needed to achieve your UGC NET and JRF are available there in the form of audio lectures, and you can find downloadable 300 plus PDFs and also previous and practice question papers that you can attempt live in the website and also know your marks instantly. Okay, moving on. So we have learned in detail about the age of Chaucer, its political, socio-economic events happened, and also some of the major authors related to that we could find in that age. Now we are going to discuss and learn about Geoffrey Chaucer. Okay, Geoffrey Chaucer, age of Chaucer is named after Geoffrey Chaucer. That shows that Geoffrey Chaucer is the main figure or the towering figure of the age. So why did he, why people consider him as a very important figure in that period? We will look at it, and in this video is particularly about Geoffrey Chaucer's life and his career and his various stages of literary career and all. About the details related to his work we will discuss in the next video. Okay, otherwise it will be too lengthy to listen. Okay, now let's see some of the personal details related to Geoffrey Chaucer. He was born in the Windry. So he was born in the Windry in London. It's a place in London where we can find that mainly wine merchants reside. So it's a residence of wine merchants. So Geoffrey Chaucer's father was a wine merchant, a popular wine merchant. So his father was a popular wine merchant, and Chaucer served as a page to Elizabeth. See, his father must be providing wine to the royalty in the palace, and also that's in that route Chaucer also got a chance to get into the court of the palace and court of the royalty. So Chaucer served as a page to Elizabeth, and probably because of that Chaucer might have got his education at the court, and he learned French and Latin there. So he was well versed both in French and Latin and also in English, that we all know. And after that, when he was a young man, he was taken as a prisoner at the age of 19. So when he was accompanied Lionel, Duke of Clarence. So Lionel, he is the Duke of Clarence. He was accompanying him. So Chaucer was accompanying Lionel, Duke of Clarence, on a military campaign to France. So during that journey, he was taken as a prisoner at the age of 19. So this was a main thing happened during his life. And Edward III got him released, and thereafter he served the king. So what happened? Edward III was the king of the time, and Edward III paid the indemnity to release him. So that itself shows the interest that royalty kept in Chaucer. So Chaucer, they considered Chaucer as important because from the childhood itself he was there in the palace, and Edward III considered him, and he paid the indemnity to release Chaucer from his captivity, and later he served Edward III, the king. And the king later commissioned him in diplomatic missions to France, Geneva, and Florence. So he was well versed in both in French and Latin. So king easily could commission him in diplomatic missions related to the affairs of countries, and he was deployed to France, Geneva, and Florence, and his travels exposed him to the works of authors such as Dante, Boccaccio, and Florisat. So as he was traveling for diplomatic missions to various countries, especially to France, Geneva, Florence, and Italy, many places he traveled. So as he was traveled, he mainly got exposed to the works, the literary pieces that he could find in that particular place. So especially he was fascinated, and he got exposed to works of authors such as Dante, Boccaccio, and Florisat. And around 1366, he married a woman known as Philippa de Royat. So his wife's name was Philippa de Royat. So remember that too. Then Catherine Catherine was Philippa's sister. Okay, Philippa is Chaucer's wife, and Catherine is Philippa's sister, and Catherine was the mistress of Edward III for many years. So for many years, Catherine was Edward III's not wife but mistress. Okay, for many years, and later she was married to John of Gaunt. Okay, Philippa's sister Catherine was a mistress of Edward III for many years, and later she became the third wife of John of Gaunt. So John of Gaunt is important here because through this, in this way, John of Gaunt became Chaucer's patron. Okay, so Chaucer's patron's name is John of Gaunt, and what is the relation that Chaucer possessed with John of Gaunt? Because John of Gaunt's wife, third wife Catherine. Catherine was Philippa's sister. Okay, in 1369, Chaucer was asked by John of Gaunt to compose a memorial poem in English to be recited as the mass. To be recited at the mass for his deceased wife Blanche, Duchess of Lancaster. So in 1369, Chaucer's patron John of Gaunt, he asked to compose a memorial poem in English, in the language of English, and what was the purpose? To be recited, to be sung at the mass for his deceased wife Blanche, or at the funeral mass of his wife Blanche, Duchess of Lancaster. And the result was his first book, or his first work, the Book of the Duchess. I have seen questions asked about the reason behind the composition of the Book of the Duchess, or about the first work of individual independent work of Chaucer. So both of them has the same answer, the Book of the Duchess. So the reason behind it, John of Gaunt asked to compose a memorial poem in English to be recited at the mass for his deceased wife Blanche. So remember this name, Blanche, Duchess of Lancaster. So as a result, he composed his first work known as the Book of the Duchess. About the Book of the Duchess, we will learn in the next video. Okay. And he visited France and northern Italy as member of the embassy to Bernardo Visconti. After his return, he wrote The Parliament of Fowls, The Legend of Good Women, and Troilus and Crusade. So he was actually went to many countries as part of many political as well as parliament missions. So he visited France and northern Italy as a member of embassy, and he visited Bernardo Visconti, and later after his return from that places, he wrote The Parliament of Fowls, The Legend of Good Women, and Troilus and Crusade. So remember this little bit information behind that we could find about a work. Okay. In 1374, he was made comptroller of the lucrative London customs, and in 1382 controller of taxes on wine and other goods, with the right to employ a deputy. So he can actually appoint a deputy of his own in order to assist him in his various duties. Okay, in 1374 he was made the comptroller of the lucrative London customs, and in 1382 he was made of controller of taxes on wine and other goods, and he could appoint a deputy, an assistant for his own need in order to assist him. Then around 1385, Chaucer lost all his offices at the overthrow of the faction of his patron, but he retrieved all his powers. So what happened in 1385, Chaucer actually lost all his position, all his offices, because his patron was overthrown, and his patron was overthrow of the faction because of some malpractices. Maybe something happened to his patron, and soon he retrieved. But as Chaucer was a very eminent person and also very capable one too, and he retrieved all of his power and offices soon. And in 1386 he was elected as member of parliament for Kent. Okay, his political career was so good, if you can see. Both politically as well as especially in literature as such, he actually his career was very tremendous, we can say nothing else. In 1386, he was elected member of parliament for Kent, and in 1387, his wife passed away. So please remember these titles, because question can be asked who actually possess these offices in this century. Identify the person from the given list. So in such a way, you may get perplexed by seeing all these offices that that all these powers given there, titles given there, and you may not think that this must be our Chaucer. So so remember. And in 1389, he was made clerk of the king's works. So this is a powerful office to hold, powerful position to hold. In 1389, he was made clerk of the king's works. And during the fag end of his life, he started to write the Canterbury Tales and left it unfinished. So, he already composed some works, and in that, towards the end period of his life, he started to write the Canterbury Tales. So mainly Chaucer is well acclaimed and known and popular for the Canterbury Tales. All his other works are good only, but the Canterbury Tales especially possess a very peculiar kind of position in English literature as such, and he left it unfinished. He could not finish the plan of the work. And in 1400, he died at St. Mary's in Westminster. So he died in the year 1400, and he died at St. Mary's in Westminster, and he was buried in Westminster Abbey. And he's the first of the men of letters to be laid in the nook which has since become the Poets' Corner. So in Westminster Abbey, there is a corner, there is a place in that cemetery, there is a place known as Poets' Corner, where the major poets will get buried after their death. So Chaucer is the first one who got buried in that nook which was devoted for poets and literary persons. Okay, so he died in 1400. Remember this year as well. Now let's see 3 periods of Chaucer's life. Okay, 3 periods of Chaucer's life. Chaucer's entire literary career is divided into 3 phases, 3 periods. Okay, the first period, which is known as French period. Okay, first period is known as French period, and we could see from the name itself, we can understand that we can see French influence over his literary career in this period. And the works are largely based on French models. Okay, he composed works mainly based on French models, and chief works during this period were the Book of the Duchess and a partial translation of the Roman de la Rose. Mainly he made these 2 compositions, the Book of the Duchess. So in Book of the Duchess, we could see the French influences, and it is based on French models. And he also has done a partial translation of the Roman de la Rose during this first period, that is French period of his literary career. And the second period is known as Italian period. Obviously, this will have Italian influence. So this has Italian influence. This second period has Italian influence. That's why it is termed as Italian period. And we can see works were modeled primarily on Dante and Boccaccio. So Dante and Boccaccio, these are the major major kind of ancient epic writers of Italy, Dante and Boccaccio. And due to this Italian influence, the works were mainly modeled on Italian epic writers known as Dante and Boccaccio. And major works of this period are the House of Fame and the Parliament of the Fowls. Okay, the third period is English period. Okay, here we can see more maturity and integrity and individuality as well as strength in his works. So this is a period of mature strength and originality. So we cannot see much influences of any other writers or any other language, but Chaucer showed much more strength, maturity, originality and individuality in his own literary career. And he wrote The Legend of Good Women and Canterbury Tales in this third period of his career, which is also known as English period. Please remember the major works that we can see or that are included in these periods. Okay, questions can be asked in any way, in any type of questions can be asked. So this will in a way help you to memorize the chronology of the books as well. Okay, please remember the 3 periods, French French period, Italian period, and English period. Now let's see what is the linguistic and literary importance of Chaucer. So we claim and we say and we all study Chaucer as a major figure associated to English language and literature, and Chaucer is also known as father of English literature or English poetry as such. So what is the linguistics as well as literary importance of Chaucer? First let's see linguistic importance. So during Chaucer's time, French was the language of power. See, so just before Chaucer, the age of Chaucer, we have Anglo-Norman period. There we have Anglo-Norman as the main language or the language of the royalty or court or any other offices where everything was done in that French dialect known as Anglo-Norman. So the French language was the power, or language was the language of the power. So English was not the language of high culture. So in a high society or in the creamy layer of the society, we cannot see English but Anglo-Norman, the French dialect. And Chaucer preferred to write in East Midland dialect of English. So that was the main linguistic contributions of Chaucer. When Chaucer decided to write something, even though his patron asked him to write in English his first work, but afterwards he himself chose a particular dialect of English, East Midland dialect of English, and he preferred to write in that, and he also made that dialect into a full-fledged language, a worthy language to write epic works. Okay, he also made a metrical innovations and verse form. So he actually made some metrical innovations and verse form. He invented the rhyme royal. So this was Chaucer's invention, rhyme royal, and it was rhyme royal. It is mainly 5 stressed lines. So we can see in rhyme royal is 5 stressed lines. And according to the American poet Lowell, Chaucer found his native tongue a dialect and left it a language. So this is said by Lowell. Lowell, he's an American poet, and he made this comment upon Chaucer's contribution, linguistic contribution to English. Chaucer found his native tongue a dialect and left it a language. Please remember this quotation and who said this one and about whom. So Lowell said this quotation or this dialogue, this comment about Chaucer's linguistic contribution. Now let's see his literary importance. And Matthew Arnold called Chaucer. So Matthew Arnold, he is a great poet and a great critic, belongs to the age of Victoria or Victorian age. So Matthew Arnold called Chaucer as the father of our splendid English poetry. So this comment made by Matthew Arnold is the one who labeled Chaucer as the father of our splendid English poetry. And his major contribution to poetry was his adherence to realism, and his major contribution, so he adhered to realism. That is his major contribution. And even many critics actually admits this, that Troilus and Cresside has been called as a novel in verse. So this is again a question that I have seen in several question papers, that which work of Chaucer has been called as a novel in verse. So that is Troilus and Cresside. Okay, so remember this linguistic as well as literary importance. Remember the dialect that was chosen by Chaucer to write his works, and his invention rhyme royal, which is 5 stressed lines. Then American poet Lowell made this comment about Chaucer, that Chaucer found his native tongue a dialect and left it a language. And also literary importance, Matthew Arnold called him as the father of our splendid English poetry, and his major contribution to poetry was his adherence to, or his his strong connection and his adherence to realism. And Troilus and Cresside has been called as a novel in verse. So remember these points about Chaucer's main contribution. Now let's see the major works of Chaucer. First one is obviously the Book of the Duchess, and he composed this particular work between the years 1368 and 69. And the second one is the House of Fame, between the years 1379 and 80. The Parliament of Fowls comes next, and he composed it in 1380s. And Troilus and Crusade is the fourth one, and he composed it between 1378 and 85. And the Legend of Good Women in the 1380s, and the Canterbury Tales finally got composed between 1386 and 95. So this is an unfinished work. The Canterbury Tales is an unfinished work. Okay, so these are the major works. I just listed all the important works here, because anyway in the next video we are going to learn the details related to all this work. I'll be giving all the points related to these works, so we will be looking at it in all these works in the next video. So that's all about the major things related to Chaucer's life and his literary career and contribution, and I have given the names of the major works as well. So if you have any doubts, any suggestions, any comments, please mention that in the comment section. And also, if you want me to make any videos related to UGC NET English language and literature, mention that in the comment section as well. And also you can visit my website www.highpoint.in to have more materials related to UGC NET English and have a systematic study there. And you can also will have our personal support from our side to achieve your goals. And to know more about it, you can also WhatsApp and call the number given in this page, and also email to us if you want anything more or if you have any other queries. So you can reach me or meet me using any of these any of these platforms. And let me conclude this video, and thank you for watching. If you like the video, press the like button and also subscribe to my channel. Let me meet you in the next video. Until then, bye bye and thank you.